Hi everyone, and welcome to this special edition of Talking RegMed. In this episode, we're talking highlights from the World Stem Cell Summit, which took place on the 22nd to the 26th of January in Miami, Florida. It was co-located with Phacilitate's Cell and Gene Therapy World and Immuno-Oncology World, so there were tons of talks and we've got loads of stuff to cover today. I'm joined by Adam Price-Evans, he's the commissioning editor for the journal Regenerative Medicine, who joined me in Miami to spend a week at these fantastic events. So Adam, can you tell me some of your highlights from the meeting?
I really enjoyed the World Stem Cell Summit opening plenary session. We had a panel chaired by Anthony Atala, and it was focused on alpha clinics and how the field can accelerate regenerative medicine towards the clinic. It was really interesting to hear from the perspective from Greg Simon from the Biden Cancer Initiative, and he discussed the lessons the field of regenerative medicine can actually learn from the success seen in the development of cancer therapies. We also heard from Peter Marks from the FDA, and he discussed expedited programs available for regenerative medicine therapies, so it was really interesting. Yeah,
that was one of my highlights as well. It was really interesting to hear about all the accelerated pathways available from the FDA in regenerative medicines, and hearing more about how the agency actually decides how they award those designations was something that I didn't really know about before, so I found that was really interesting.
Absolutely.
Any other highlights?
I think a lot of the tracks at the World Stem Cell Summit were focused on sort of new innovations, efforts in translating sort of regenerative medicine therapies towards the clinic. So it was great to hear all the exciting work that's taking place across the different technologies and across different diseases and conditions. I think one talk I particularly enjoyed was from Carl Joe, which was focused on the treatment of ALS with human neural stem cells, and he sort of discussed his work and some of the clinical trials that are taking place there. I also really enjoyed a talk from Doris Taylor at the Texas Heart Institute, where she discussed her work towards building cardiac regenerative medicine solutions, including actually building that by artificial heart. So she discussed the importance of building the vascular networks to feed the heart, and talked about her work with that.
Great, actually, yeah, Anthony Atala was really busy at the event because he chaired one of my favourite sessions too on regenerative medicine for the wounded warrior. I've really enjoyed this session because it was great to see how some of the research being presented at the event can actually be applied to real life situations. Warriors and sort of service people again tend to suffer multi-organ, multi-tissue damage, as opposed to the really precise specific diseases which can be really accurately targeted by the cell and gene therapies. So that was really interesting. I also really enjoyed a session on the organoid revolution. Obviously this is something we're covering a lot on RegMedNet in our current special focus. A range of speakers from Mount Sinai, the Wake Forest Centre for Regenerative Medicine, covering manufacturing techniques, sort of the challenges that have been overcome to really make organoids sort of applicable to modern research. So got lots of tips for doing my panel discussion questions. So obviously that's just a few talks from the whole week, but what are some of your key takeaways?
Yeah, so it was great to be able to catch up with a number of the journal's editorial board members, including Bernie Siegel, who's obviously had a huge hand in putting together the World Stem Cell Summit. We also caught up with Anthony Atala, Susan Solomon, and the journal's senior editor Chris Mason. I also managed to catch a number of talks from different editorial board members, so it was really great to catch up with them. It was also great to meet loads of people working in the field across different areas, from academics and clinicians to policymakers and entrepreneurs. So it's fantastic to make these new connections and get a real insight into what's happening in the field of regenerative medicine at the moment.
Absolutely. I think it was really interesting attending a meeting with such a high attendance of patient advocates, because with RegMedNet and regenerative medicine we tend to go to these meetings where it's sort of really heavily on the research, and it really put into perspective for me how this research and these treatments could actually affect sort of real people. So I think that was quite eye-opening for me. I think it was also really interesting to look at sort of other places other than the US and the UK who are doing this sort of research and already applying some of these therapies. So a lot of the sessions looked at Japan, China, the Bahamas, and I think just because they might not be doing things the way we want to do them, I think there are definitely really important lessons that we can learn from how they have done things, and hopefully maybe avoid some of the same obstacles they faced. So that was a very brief roundup of some of the things that went on at World Stem Cell Summit, Cell and Gene Therapy World and Immuno-Oncology World. We'd like to say a huge thank you to Bernie Siegel and the Regenerative Medicine Foundation and Phacilitate for hosting 5 days of really insightful talks and networking. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for today, but please join me again soon for another episode of Talking RegMed.